Welcome, welcome, welcome. Mentalism, correspondence, vibration, polarity, rhythm, cause and effect, gender. Countdown initiated. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome, everyone. It is Thursday already. Oh, my, my, my. How did we get here so quickly? A little bit has been awake for a little bit, and he was crowing already, so he might chime in soon. I don't know. It just depends on how the spirit moves him. Um, but I came across this question, and somebody was asking, well, I believe in God, or I believe in whoever. Isn't that in direct conflict? Short answer, no. Religion does not conflict with law. Without law, there would be no religion, for one, right? Let me explain why. Yesterday, I kind of touched on it, when I told you, when you see the principles, mentalism, correspondence, vibration, polarity, rhythm, cause and effect, and gender, when you see them and you recognize them, they are the inner workings of something. You see, religion is man-made. Religion is man-made. All religions do exactly the same thing. They tell you of the existence of something greater. All of them tell you that. But here now lies the problem. Allegedly, it is not enough for all religions to tell you the same thing, that there is something greater than the self. No, man wants to take it a little bit further and tell you which one of them is right and which one of them is wrong. And if you don't believe, I will punish you. This is what religion does, right? Now, the principles supersede religion. Religion helps humanity. Yes, it helps humanity by teaching them consistency. Hmm? Think about it. You get up every Sunday. If you 7-day Adventist, it's every Saturday. Every Saturday, every Sunday, they have particular things that they do. Religion definitely shows you the principle of rhythm, because each religion has their own pattern, their own way of doing things. That's how you recognize them, by their rhythm, right? That's the principle of rhythm, the ebb and the flow, the recurrence of, the showing of the pattern. Because when you show a pattern, you know exactly what you're looking at. Another word for pattern would be habit. Another word still would be ritual. So you see, all of those things show you the principle of rhythm at work. So it doesn't matter which religion you want to choose, or you might not want to choose a religion at all. But one cannot escape law. One does not necessarily, how do I put it, practice law per se. I tell you to practice every day, being deliberate to use the law. But one does not need to practice, because it is how you live every single day. You do not need to remember scripture to propel your life. The principles do these things naturally, and we just flow with it. All are governed by way of principle, mentalism, correspondence, vibration, polarity, rhythm, cause and effect, and gender. A Jew, a Catholic, a Muslim, a Protestant, an agnostic, an atheist all have a back garden. and they all plant corn. Which one of them will reap peas? Not a one. Why? Because the principle of correspondence tells us as within, so without. It is irrelevant what you want to choose to believe in. It is irrelevant how long you spent your life doing it. The point of the matter is, the principles have always been there, and they will continue to be there. Whether you believe in this dimension or another dimension, or multiple dimensions, is also irrelevant. Because the principles, again, principle number one, mentalism, the all is mind. The universe is a mental creation. That one right there will tell you. And it's funny. It is very funny how scripture, if you read the Bible, scripture says, nothing can separate you from the love of God, neither height nor depth, heaven nor hell. Now, people will interpret that as God being this person, and nothing can separate you from God. But in actuality, it is the principle of mentalism. Why? Because wherever you go, oh God, don't make me sing it. Wherever you go, whatever you do, I will be right here waiting for you. Right, Richard Marx? Your awareness of yourself, of your existence, is always with you because it is the first principle. One is always aware of themselves. So if you go to the mountaintop, if you go to the bowel of hell, you know where you are. You know you. That is the first principle. The all is mind. The universe is mental. The all, you say? Now, some would say, well, Angela, the all is God. But you and I, when we hear the word God, depending on how you've been influenced, you will have an opinion of God. You will have a judgment of God. But when you hear all, it's a very interesting thing. The scripture also says the all in all. Hello, the all in all? Yes. There's that one thing that is within all people. Black, white, Indian, Asian, doesn't matter what you are. All people are aware of their own existence. It is the awareness that creates. And this is something Neville Goddard always says, creation is finished. Why would he say such a thing? Every cause has its effect, and every effect has its cause. Meaning, you could choose this cause, it already has its effect. You could choose that effect, oh, but it already has its cause. So that's why you can surmise that creation is finished. If you plant, you reap. You understand? Creation is finished. So the main question was, but what if I upset God? See, now that is a perception of God based upon how you and I were raised. Now, if the church stomped all over your feelings, you're going to have a perception of God that's really not all that great. See, the question is not, is God real? Is God not real? That's really not the question. The question is this: what have you observed? You have observed that you exist. Mentalism. Yes. You have also observed this experience called coincidence. Every single one of us has experienced a coincidence or coincidences. Now remember what a coincidence is. A coincidence is an experience, an external experience that matches your internal at that time. For instance, oh my God, I was just thinking of you and you called me. Well, what a coincidence. You were thinking of them and there they were on the outside. So coincidence is the external matching the internal. That is the principle of correspondence. As within, so without. Oh, but Angela, I can't turn my mind off. And as my grandmother would say, I can't turn your mouth off, because everything moves. Nothing stands still. What do you mean nothing stands still, Angela? I rest. Resting is not stillness. You rest, you awaken. You had to move from rest to being awake. You had to move. Nothing stands still. This is how things flow into seasons. We're in summer right now, and summer moves into fall. Fall moves into winter. If it ever stops, we stop. And we cannot stop because that would be a direct violation of principle, and principles are never violated because they cannot be violated. You will never plant corn and get peas. If you want to pick peas, you have to plant peas. One cannot violate principle, and that's why it is so amazing, regardless of your religion. If you are afraid, your chemical response in your body will show your fear. Whether you are Jewish or Muslim or Catholic or Protestant, so long as you have that adrenaline in your body, no epinephrine, it shows what you are thinking. As within, so without. It must always register. And because we are in these bodies, they must show. So the invisible is moving from invisible to visible, which now lands us on the principle of polarity. People say, but Angela, we live in a dual world. No, we do not. Only one thing is moving, and it is you, moving through the stages of what you said you were. The seed that is planted, if you don't know what seed is planted, watch it. It will sprout, it will flower, and it will bear fruit. Thereby you will say, oh my God, look at that, a mango tree. Did you guess? No. You just simply observed the stages of this plant as it progressed. And because it was a mango, it had to show itself as such. So whatever you say you are, whatever you believe yourself to be, you will have to behave in that fashion. You see, we always like to think that we contradict ourselves, But we're always by law. We're always by principle. Always. So whether you get up and you turn to the east to pray, and you pray 3 times a day like Daniel did, it's irrelevant. What you did show yourself is, though, that is you stayed committed to a habit, to a rhythm. You get up at the same time every day, and you pray the same time every day in the same direction for the same length of time. It is the principle of rhythm. But you see, what has people asking the question if the principles conflict with religion? The root of that is fear. Because people don't want to disappoint God, nor do they want to be punished by God. They want to be rewarded by God. But you see the principles. I want you to observe something. If I come and I say to you, do as I say, and I will ... Reward or punishment is irrelevant. You will behave according to the effect. Listen, you will behave according to the effect. If you do not want to be punished, you will toe the line. If you want the reward, you will toe the line. So the effect will always bring about the cause because they are together. But if you look at the way you behave based upon, look at it, we conform because. So the principles make that easier for you by showing you what is beneath the choice that you make. Whereas sometimes religion can muddy it because man, humanity, gets these little things called feelings and emotions involved. But without understanding, you use the principles and keep your emotions because you understand, you comprehend why the emotion is there, because it is an effect to show you something else. It shows you the cause of that emotion. The principles show us, you know how scripture would tell you, thou shalt not. It says, thou shalt not, because if you do, well, there will be a severe punishment. But nobody addresses the fear. The principles, on the other hand, say to you, oh, what are you doing? What is the present effect? What is the present effect in your life? This is what the principles blatantly ask you. What are the present effects? And you look at it and you say, well, I'm doing this. Then the principles ask you, do you want to continue doing this? Or would you like to change? And you say, well, I want to stay. The principles say, carry on. If you want to change, the principles say, what would you like to become? What do you want to be aware of being? That is what the principles always will say. The reason being that the principles work in this way, the principles do not use any tactic at all to get you to comply. The principles simply are what they are. And it's, I laugh at it all the time because it doesn't matter what I want to do. Every cause has its effect, and every effect has its cause. You cannot pray them away. But Angela, I've been praying for health this whole time, and my body is still messed up. The principles say, would you like to be aware of health? It's a simple question. The principles don't ask you, do you think it is possible? The principles show you that everything is possible. It says every cause has its effect and every effect its cause. So if you're dealing with a health issue and all you can see is your illness, as within, so without. But Angela, how come nobody can grow arms and legs back? Do we know this? It is only because we see it happen a particular way all the time that we think that that's the way it is. Because nobody has ventured to say, well, let me apply principle. Nobody has ventured to do it. Because every time you do it, what do you hear in the back of your head? This chick is crazy. Ain't nobody can. What am I, a lizard? I can't grow my tail. I'm not a lizard. That is within. That is within. So, as within, so without. Scripture puts it this way. It is impossible to please God unless you have faith, right? Without faith, it is impossible to please God, is what Scripture would say. If you're going to come to God, you must believe that He is what Scripture would say. But that is the principle of correspondence. You will always voice what is within yourself. We call it opinion. So whether you are Catholic or Protestant or agnostic or atheist, you all voice an opinion. As within, so without.